Hello, I have a stammer. There hasn't been a really high-profile stammerer in the UK since King George VI died in 1952, a very long time ago. Nor has there been a decent film featuring someone who stammers. Generally speaking, we have been shown as figures of fun. Ha ha. As a result of this and many other inaccuracies, very few people know anything much about stammering. But now at last we have in the King's Speech a potentially Oscar-winning film which shows people who don't stammer how life can be if you do. And Colin Firth does an incredibly realistic job of conveying how it is to be stuck in a block with no control over your speech, part of the audience staring at you and part staring at the ground. No film has ever done that before. So it should be very helpful in terms of creating some greater understanding between stammerers and non-stammerers. But we need to remember that the action takes place about 75 years ago, so it is history. From what we know, it's a fairly realistic reenactment of what was going on at that time. Things are different now, of course. We know that stammering is a symptom of a condition in which the brain's neural circuits for speech have not wired normally. So the king would have been born with a neural propensity to stammer. It wasn't caused by some deep-rooted psychological problem. His character and behaviour would have been powerfully affected by this inability to say what he was trying to say, not vice versa. And it's quite interesting, there was a research exercise on at about the same time, which has come to be known as the Monster Study, in which a group of orphan children were cruelly encouraged to stammer. At the end of the exercise, none of them grew up stammering, but several of them developed psychological problems. Of course, speech therapy techniques have changed considerably. And when he was a child, stammering was thought to be a defect. So the future king was corrected and even punished by his family and staff, which made him very self-conscious and tense about speaking, and that surely would just have made his stammering even worse. Today, where it is available, and it's not available everywhere, early intervention allows the vast majority of those very young children at risk of persistent stammering to talk fluently for the rest of their lives. Some adults do find ways to control their speech, but there is still no cure. The king continued to stammer, but as we see in the film, Loeb helped him to control his stammering when he was making formal speeches. I must say, though, that the last time I went to see a speech therapist, she didn't encourage me to swear. But then I'm not a king, you understand. And that really is the main point of this film. It was how Lionel Loeb found a way to form a relationship with a client whose upbringing had made him reluctant to discuss anything personal. As stammerers, we are not ideally equipped to stand up and change so many misconceptions, but we need to try. The King's Speech will give stammerers and non-stammerers a kind of a permission to talk to each other. It will be the greatest opportunity I've ever seen for this often embarrassing subject to be discussed openly and on such a broad scale. So for all our sakes, please grasp it with both hands, talk about it. But remember that the opportunity will only last for a short while. After that, there is a danger that stammering will slip back into being inaudible and invisible. We don't want that to happen. So if you feel you'd like to help, please stay tuned. But in the meantime, I'd just like to say Thank you for listening.